Let's talk about a relationship red flag people ignore because it feels dramatic.
Like who they hang out with?
Yes. Because the company your partner keeps is the relationship they're building. And if you've ever felt uncomfortable with your partner being close friends with someone who cheats, maybe isn't the most honest, or doesn't have the best moral compass, and you got hit with, you're controlling, well, this episode's for you. I want you to know how to tell if it's insecurity or intuition, and exactly how to talk about it without turning into the bad guy.
Welcome back to the Touch My Health podcast. We're going to use a real scenario because it's painfully common, but we're not here to tell you what to do. We're here to help you see what's actually happening.
And fair warning, this episode might make some people uncomfortable.
And that's good.
Yeah. So why does this matter, right? Why is it important to evaluate who is in your partner's close circle, and your own for that matter?
There's a couple different reasons why this matters from a psychological to a social perspective. One, there's the concept of social contagion. When a partner is repeatedly exposed to peers who treat cheating or lying or something else in that realm as a norm, it subtly devalues their own commitment and makes them less likely to resist similar temptation. Two, there's moral decoupling. This is the psychological process where people separate a person's character from their own actions.
So when your partner says he's a great guy or girl, they just cheat. It's dangerous because it trains that person to excuse bad behavior by focusing on the good traits, which in turn may lead that person to eventually apply that logic on themselves. I'm a great boyfriend, girlfriend, so this one mistake shouldn't count against me. Then there's also the proximity principle. We naturally align our habits, speech, and most importantly, our moral values with the people we spend the most time with. Character isn't static. It's influenced by your inner circle. If their closest friends don't value honesty or the sanctity of a partner's trust, they're effectively breathing in a lack of integrity every time they hang out. You're essentially asking, how long can you sit in the mud before you start to smell like it?
There is the erosion of your safe space.
Mm-hmm.
A relationship should be a sanctuary, but that sanctuary is built on a shared reality of what is right and what's wrong. It makes that line in the sand hard to see. You start to wonder, well, if they're okay with that behavior, then how safe is this space that we're in together? And lastly, there's loyalty versus integrity. This is where the bro code and girl code trap comes in. Mm-hmm. There's a difference between loyalty, which is standing by a friend, and complicity, which is helping a friend hide a betrayal. By choosing loyalty to a cheater over integrity for the truth, they're showing you the hierarchy of their values. In their world, they're protecting the guy or the girl, and that ranks higher than respecting their partner. And this tells you exactly where you'll stand if they ever have to choose between a friend's secret and your peace of mind.
Yeah. See, people love to act like friendships don't impact relationships. And this is exactly why they absolutely do. Because your standards aren't just what you say, they're what you normalize, and they're what you defend. So when someone is close with a friend who cheats and acts like it's no big deal, what they're telling you is betrayal is tolerable. If you normalize betrayal, you'll eventually justify betrayal. And remember this, what you tolerate in others, you eventually authorize in yourself.
Look at the room he or she is choosing to stand in. Is betrayal just background noise to them, or do they treat it like spilled coffee? Do they validate lies with just a laugh or, just shrug it off? Or are they acting as a shield for someone else's lack of integrity? Does your concern make you the crazy one in their eyes? You can't breathe in that kind of air and stay clean. If they're comfortable with his friend's betrayal, they're already comfortable with the idea of yours.
Okay, here's the situation. I'm going to run through the scenario. A woman is uncomfortable because her boyfriend is going to hang out at a place where there is some hoe activity, some suspicious behavior, let's just be real, with a friend who cheats on his longtime live-in girlfriend.
So her discomfort makes sense because the issue isn't the place. It's not about the geographic coordinates of a bar or a pool. The issue is trust and exposure. It's not about the pool or the bar, the environment. It's about what that represents. But some dudes are going to hear this and be like, I'm just swimming. I'm just hanging out with the boys, having a beer. I'm not the one cheating. My friend is. So why am I being punished for his choices?
Sure, you can be just swimming, but if your boy is swimming in a place known for flirting while he's actively lying to the woman he lives with, don't act shocked when your girlfriend doesn't feel safe, because when you choose to stay in that circle, you're telling her that this behavior isn't a deal breaker for you. You're saying, I'm okay with this energy being around me.
And that's fair. It's the proximity principle. Even if you aren't doing it, you're validating the environment where it's okay. You're basically breathing in secondhand betrayal.
Exactly. It's the difference between loyalty and complicity. If you're the one helping him cover it up or even just standing by while, whoever she laughs about it, you're practicing the exact same logic you'd need to use if you ever decided to do it yourself. You're building the mental habit of excusing the inexcusable.
Yeah, think about it like smoking, right? It's like secondhand smoke. You might not be the one lighting or smoking the cigarette, but you're still filling your lungs with those toxins. And if they stay in the atmosphere, they'll eventually start to smell like it.
Let's talk about insecurity versus intuition. And this is where people get confused. Am I insecure, or am I picking up on something that's real? So how do you tell?
Well, insecurity is usually a loud, frantic scream from the past, while intuition is quiet. It's a steady nudge from the present. Mm-hmm. However, there's these 3 good questions to ask yourself, or think of these as filters to run it through.
First is the body meter. You have to check the physical volume of the feeling. Insecurity is loud and very frantic. It's a racing heart, tight chest, that shaky feeling like you need to check his phone right now to stop the noise. Like, I need to look at it right now. It feels like an emergency. But intuition, it's quiet and heavy. It's a sinking feeling in the pit of your stomach. It doesn't scream out at you. It just sits there like a cold weight, telling you that something in the math of this relationship is not adding up.
Yeah, so if it feels like a panic attack, it might be anxiety. But if it feels like a knowing that won't go away even when you're calm, that's your gut. That's your gut feeling. That's your gut telling you what's going on. Mm-hmm. What's the second filter?
The second one is the ghost test. You have to ask, who am I actually talking to right now? Insecurity is usually an echo of the past. It's a ghost of an ex who cheated or a childhood wound. It's you reacting to what happened to you. But intuition is about the present. It's not about your ex. It's about the fact that your current partner is choosing to spend his or her Friday nights in a pool of bad decisions. It's if the fear is about his or their current actions and not your old memories, you aren't haunted, you're observant.
Yeah, and that's huge. It's the difference between looking in the rearview mirror and looking through the windshield. So what's the third one?
The loop versus the nudge. Insecurity is a rotisserie chicken, right? It just loops the same what if scenarios over and over. What if they do this? What if they go there? What if so-and-so shows up? It's a mental trap that leaves you exhausted. Intuition is a nudge. It's a single, persistent point of data. It doesn't need to build a massive 50-page legal case against him or her. It just points to the red flag and says, look at that. If you're exhausted from overthinking, it might be insecurity. If you're exhausted from ignoring what you already see, that's probably your intuition.
Right. So basically, insecurity tries to find the problem, but intuition is tired of hiding from one. Now, keeping everything you just said in mind, in addition to that, can you also ask yourself these questions? Is your concern based on patterns? Has trust been shaky before? Did they get defensive? And did they minimize what they were doing? Is the environment high risk for your relationship? Is there alcohol involved? Is it a flirty atmosphere? Is there a history of poor boundaries? Do they respond with curiosity or accusation? Do they ask what would make you feel safe? Or do they label you as controlling? Healthy partners get curious. Unhealthy partners get defensive.
When you bring up a concern, do they try to understand you or do they try to win? Do they reassure you or do they punish you with anger? That answer is everything. It should tell you everything.
Let's talk about the you're controlling trap. And we have to talk about the C word because the
dreaded C word.
The dreaded C word. We have to talk about it because the second anyone expresses a boundary about who their partner's hanging out with, the you're controlling label gets thrown out like a smoke grenade. People use that word because it's a conversation killer. It instantly puts you on the defensive.
And it's such a clever deflection because now we aren't talking about the friend who cheats or the hoe activity at the pool or whatever it is we're talking about. We're talking about your character. We're talking about whether or not you're a cool girlfriend or boyfriend. And it's classic bait and switch.
Yeah, that's right. It's them saying, I don't want to deal with the consequences of my choices, so I'm going to make you the problem. It's a way to dodge accountability without actually changing their behavior. Calling you controlling is easier than confronting why you don't feel safe.
Exactly. And here's the line in the sand. Control is about changing them. A boundary is about protecting you. Control sounds like you aren't allowed to go. It's a demand, but a boundary sounds like I need to feel safe in this relationship. And when you choose environments that devalue commitment, it impacts my ability to trust you.
And that's the key. If you're communicating respectfully, if you're coming from a place of this is how I feel, and they still hit you with the you're controlling line, they aren't reacting to your tone, they're reacting to the boundary itself. They're mad that they can't have their cake and eat it too.
They want the freedom of a single lifestyle with the security of a committed partner's loyalty. And you're allowed to say that the math there don't add up. So how do you actually say this? How do you bring it up without it turning into a 3-hour world war? I want to give some clean, high integrity scripts that you can use verbatim, right? So say, I'm not trying to tell you what to do or who you can be friends with, but I am telling you that what affects my sense of safety in this relationship, when you choose to spend time in high-risk environments with people who don't respect the concept of commitment, it creates a crack in our foundation. It makes it harder for me to trust the we we're building. I need a partner who protects our relationship even when I'm not in the room to see it. Do you have something that you think would be a good kind of script to say?
Yeah, from a guy's perspective, you can say something like, the people you're hanging out with doesn't make me feel comfortable. I don't want you going out and putting our relationship at risk. If you feel like that's a good decision, then okay, but it's not making me feel comfortable.
Yeah, you have to turn it back to the This is how I feel. This is how this makes me feel.
Right. Set your boundary. And once you say that, you stop talking. You go into observation mode. Because as we always say, words are cheap, but behavior is expensive. You don't need to beg for a change. You've laid out the map. Now you watch to see if they respect the territory. If they're doubling down on the controlling narrative, they're telling you that their ego is more important than your peace. Because at the end of the day, talk is just noise, and consistency is the receipt. I once heard a quote that said, "You are the direct reflection of the 5 people you hang out with."
The top 5 people you hang out
The top 5 people you hang
Yep.
out with. And it makes all the sense in the world, because if you choose to hang out with people that cheat or people that are liars and steal and just are bad humans, you are a direct reflection of that. Whether you are doing those things or not, you are now perceived as that.
Yeah. No, I agree 100%. What is it too? The saying, company you keep, you are the company you keep. It's very true. You surround yourself with certain people and certain lifestyles. Even if you try to sit there and say, well, that's not me, it's very possible, and it's scientifically proven, I guess. I don't know if it's science or what, but studies have shown that people who hang out in environments like that, who are constantly around those types of people, they'll end up displaying or doing that same behavior and being able to justify it. They've already been setting themselves up for it inadvertently.
Oh, yeah.
Well, the company you keep is not neutral. It's a preview.
And if someone is committed to you, protecting the relationship won't feel like an attack. It'll feel like respect. If this episode gave you clarity, subscribe and stay with us. Comment values if you've ever been made to feel crazy for having standards.
Go ahead and like and follow us on TikTok and Instagram. Also, they are going to be linked in the description below. We do shorter conversations in between episodes, and we will see you on the next one.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.